Hey, what's up guys? This is Nightwing2303 from WearTesters.com. Today is Ask Nightwing number 7. I know that I have not done one of these in a couple weeks. December is super busy for me, not considering work, like family-wise. There's just so much stuff to do all the time, so I apologize about that. One thing before we get started is that there are going to be some upcoming changes to performance reviews as far as scoring or charts go, like scorecards and things like that. If you want to know more about that and not be confused when the next performance review is published, then in the description box below there's going to be a link, and it's going to take you to my website. It's going to explain everything, and if you have any questions you can always leave a comment there and then I'll get back to you. And other than that, we'll just go ahead and get right into this. Alright, so first question comes from Brian Ho. He says, "Hey Nightwing, sorry if I'm like the 20th person to ask this, but does Brandblack have a thing where they make a bunch of colorways that are similar to one another? He's looking on Instagram and he's seeing 2 different versions of the Seattle colorway and 2 different versions of the orange-brown colorway, orange or brown. I believe they're brown. The one with like the blue or gray upper or something like that. And he says if they're supposed to be the same thing, or are they 2 completely different colorways? So what that is that's just them showing you sample versions, and then when it comes time to actually release the shoe, the retail pairs, like they're showing you those. A lot of times with any brand, doesn't matter if it's Brandblack, Nike, Jordan, whatever, the final version is just nowhere even close usually to like the production samples or the promo samples and stuff like that. So it really depends what's going on. Like for example, so when I was in Portland, I was inside the Jordan building. They had just shoes everywhere. There were shoes there that I'd never seen before. There was weird fusion type shoes that I'd never seen before. There were shoes that are going to be released that nobody's seen at that time and stuff like that. And there was a few of them. Like now everybody knows that the Jordan 20 is going to be coming out in 2015. That was one of the shoes I saw. One of the pairs was an original pair, and then one of the pairs was just a sample version, production sample of the retro. And what they were doing is that they were comparing the original to that version to see what needs to still be changed before they can actually approve the shoe to be put into production. So there was like little things like material differences, color differences, stuff like that. Some of those changes will still be made. They're going to tell you that they're doing it to keep the integrity of the original, which is not really true. That's a reason that they kind of like, that's the reason that they give you, but the real reason is because a lot of the time is like for like the Air Jordan 20, they originally released however many years ago, and just some of those materials and the factories that made those materials and things like that are just not available anymore. So that's the reason why certain things just get changed, is because they literally cannot get the same stuff anymore. It's almost as if like that type of suede that they used at that point in time for that release was just no longer in production. So the new release is going to have a different type of suede. And that is pretty much how things work with all brands. But yeah, so in this particular situation, what you're seeing is just promo sample versus retail pair. If you look on Finish Line right now, go to the Crazy Light Boost, and there's a gray and pink colorway. The pictures that they have there show slightly different alterations made to that shoe versus the pairs that we've seen like in my video or other performance review videos and things like that. And the reason behind that is because that gray and pink pair that they have pictured is actually a sample and not the retail pair. It's got different traction and the heel's a little bit different. The actual pair that is like what you would get in your order, like that they ship you, is different. So that's just kind of how things work. Philip Song asks, is there any way to improve traction on basketball shoes? The courts that I play on are usually not clean and have a lot of dust. Can you suggest some ways or products to help with traction? P.S. Love the videos. There's not really a way to improve traction. I know that they've released products like Court Grip, which is garbage. That's actually going to ruin your shoes, possibly the court. But the best way to get the best out of, or the most out of your traction, is to make sure that you're getting a shoe that is got like spectacular traction. So there's just certain, these are just handy, but so these are the Mellow 11s, and this rubber here, say it doesn't work on one type of court that I work on, or not work on, but play on, and then on this other court, this is all hypothetical, but say on this other court, this same shoe, same colorway, everything works completely great. It could be because the courts are, one's clean, one's dirty. It also could be because of the finish on the court and stuff like that. And so this is one of those shoes where, depending on the court's condition, it'll perform great for you or not. And there's other shoes that don't have that particular issue, like the Kobe 9, for example. Most of those have a rubber compound and a traction pattern combined that works fantastic on any type of court condition, whether it's dirty or not, needs refinishing or doesn't, and all that kind of stuff. So it's not anything that you could do to this particular traction to improve it, because it is what it is. But what you can do is make sure that you're getting the shoe that has like the best possible traction. 28s were one of them, actually. The 28s just worked fantastic, like on any court. So a lot of times though, like say you clean your gym and you still slide around a lot, it could just be because the finish on the floor is just old. The slick look, the lacquer or whatever it is that they do to like refinish the floors, like re-wax and all that stuff. So but yeah, so it could be a bunch of different things, but it's usually one of those things that you can make sure that you're getting the shoe that actually provides what you need, which is the whole point in performance reviews from anybody, is to make sure to inform the purchaser of what's available and how it might work for them. Chris Mejia, he says, "Hey Nightwing, do you know if Brandblack is going to be releasing their shoes to retail stores / websites like Foot Locker and eBay? Thanks for your time and hard work." And the answer to that is yes. They are doing small little drops of their like J Crossover 2 right now. I believe today they actually dropped the Seattle colorway in Seattle over at the bait shop, and they already did, I think last week was the Future Legends release, which is like a brown with the brown like back or whatever, the brown leather in the back. And those I can't remember where they released. I think they released in LA. But yeah, so they're doing that, and then as soon as like 2015 hits around the February timeframe, that's when they're going to do their official online launch, and they're going to be selling them at brandblack.com. And then they did not, as far as I'm aware, get any contract to sell them at Foot Locker, eBay, etc. Those stores, Foot Locker, eBay, Champs, and I think there was another one, Foot Action, those are all the same store. Like it's all the same online store. But they did get a contract to sell their product at Finish Line. So finishline.com, not sure about in-store Finish Line, but finishline.com at least will have the Brandblack J Crossover 2 in 2015. So anybody interested in that shoe, just stay patient, and they're going to be available sooner rather than later. Okay, so Gavin181, he says, "Hey Nightwing, I have a few questions. 1, are Air Jordan 6s playable? 2, which retro 1 through 14 has the best traction in your opinion? 3, which retro 1 through 14 is the best performing / well-balanced shoe?" The answer to that is actually in the performance reviews for each of those shoes. Go to my website, WearTesters.com. I've actually played all the way up to 1 through 19. I still haven't been able to complete the 20s, 21s, 22s, and 23s yet. But the 1 through 14 is already done, 1 through 19. So they've all got scores, they've got scorecards, and all that kind of good stuff. You can go to the shoe finder, which is in the menu bar. You can click on the brand, so you'd click on Jordan, and then you can click the filter by attribute, which is like, say you want like traction's most important, just click traction and all the best traction shoes will show up. So but yeah, so all of the questions are answered already in those shoes' respective performance reviews. Red Hood, nice name, that's a cool name. In case you guys don't know, Red Hood is a comic book character. He is originally the second Robin. Not Tim Drake, Tim Drake's the third Robin. Jason Todd, he's the one that gets killed by the Joker, and he comes back as the Joker's old moniker, which was originally Red Hood, before he got turned into the Joker. So a little bit of comic nerd there for you. But he says, "Hey Nightwing, how did you get started in sneaker reviews and testing? What made you decide to do it in the first place? And do you have any tips or pointers for someone wanting to get started and that sort of thing? I appreciate all the time you put into WearTesters. Keep up the great work. All right, so what got me started, or how to get started, is easy. You just do it. What I do is like I'm not like affiliated with anybody. You know what I mean? Like I don't have a contract with Jordan Brand or Nike or Reebok or Adidas or Brandblack or any of those companies. So what I would do is I originally would go out and I'd buy a shoe and then I'd play in it and then I'd review it. And that would be it. It's just the same thing as like if you make a pickup and then you make a pickup video. It's the same concept, but you know, so that's how I started, and anybody can do that. And then what made me decide to do it in the first place was back in 2009. So I had my first kid was born in 2006, my daughter, and so from 2006 to 2008-ish, 9-ish, I wasn't playing basketball at that time. I was just working a lot. I had 2 jobs, and to be able to afford everything. And so I really didn't have time for basketball whatsoever. So I wasn't playing during those years. I wasn't buying shoes during those years and all that kind of stuff. And then 2009 comes around and I moved, got a different job, was paying a lot better. So I didn't need to work the 2 jobs, and I started, you know, playing basketball again, but my shoes were hella old. I think I was playing in like some like Airfly 89s, my Air Jordan 5s from high school, and then a pair of like 21 lows or something like that. Like it was all like really old shoes at that time. And then so what I did was I was looking online for reviews, and there were just no performance reviews whatsoever. Everything that I was seeing like on like a website, eBay, Finish Line, etc., that were like consumers can review, and they're all talking about how the shoes look with their jeans and all this stuff, and that wasn't my like interest. I was really looking for performance reviews, and I think at that time Kicksology.net, which is like the original like OG of performance reviews, was no longer active. So I really had nothing to go by. So what I ended up doing is just kind of taking things into my own hands per se, and I just went and bought the most expensive shoe at that time, which happened to be the Air Jordan 2009. I played in them and I reviewed them, and that's pretty much how I got started. It was because there was nothing there for me, so I decided to do it myself. Any tips or pointers? I've said this before to other people: if you really want to do something, you have to go do it. Like nobody's gonna just give you permission to go, you know, wear test shoes and give reviews and your thoughts and things like that. Nobody's gonna say, hey, you over there, I want to know what you think about these. Nobody cares. So what you have to do is make people care. Go buy the shoes yourself, wear test them, performance review them, have an outlet, find an outlet to get your voice heard, YouTube being the easiest one because it's literally free, and just go and do your thing, and hopefully people catch on to it. But yeah, if you really love doing something, just do it. It's that simple. Just start doing it. Okay, Lee Sampson, he says, hey Chris, quick question. If the shoes you are trying on kind of hug your pinky toe and is a little, he has that in quotations, uncomfortable, are you wearing the wrong shoe size, or is that just fine? And he says, how much space should be in between the longest part of the tip or of your toe and the shoe? And then he says, keep it up. You're a big help to the sneaker community. Thanks, Lee. So as far as hugging your pinky toe, that's usually like right about here, and that really kind of depends. Sometimes the shoe just needs break-in time, like these. When I first put them on, they were really tight, like all the way around, and then once I was done playing on the first night, they were completely broken in. Felt perfectly fine. But other times it could just be because you have a slightly wider foot, and you know, or it could be just the last that they used when they made the shoe, where it's a little bit more narrow. So it's really hard to tell which is which, though. Like some people will, when they'll try on a shoe, like if I were to have tried this shoe on in store, I probably would have been like, oh, let me try on a 9.5 instead of a 9. And then maybe when I buy them, say I bought the 9.5 instead of the 9, then I played in them, they broke in, and now they're too loose. So that actually happened with the CP3.8, where I didn't pick out the size, but they sent me a size 9.5, and they felt really tight at first until I was playing in them, and then the more that I played in them, the more they broke in and the more loose they felt, so they didn't like fit me the way that I liked. So you know, it just really depends. It's hard to tell, but try the shoes on if possible. That'll be your main thing. And then if you want to try to go through that break-in process, then that's going to be your answer for that. As far as how much space should be between like the tip of your toe and the edge of the shoe, it really depends on personal preference. Some people like a lot of space, some people like no space, some people like a little bit of space. Like I'm supposed to wear a 9.5. That's what my foot measures at, and that would give me what they had told me was a pinky nail's length of space between the tip of my toe and the toe box where it ends. But I don't like that extra room, because when I'd stop, my foot would slide a little bit and jam into the toes, and I just don't really like that feeling. So what I do is I get a shoe that fits my foot exactly, and basically my toes are just right here. There's no wiggle room whatsoever, and that's just how I like it. I know Ray Allen likes to wear oversized shoes because he likes a lot of space in his shoes, so it's a real big personal preference. There's no real wrong answer for that. You know, so again, try on shoes and just kind of see what works for you. That's the best way to go about it. Okay, so this is going to be the last question. This is from Max Schwartzberg, and he says, "Hey Nightwing, I was wondering what your favorite non-Nike Jordan signature line is. Mine personally is the Adidas Tracy McGrady line, especially the 3 and the 5. Thank you and keep up the good work." That was a pretty solid you know, run or line in my opinion, the Adidas Tracy McGrady line. If I had to pick something that's not a Nike or Jordan, you know, the Converse D-Wade 1 and D-Wade 2 were actually pretty dope shoes. Everything after that was trash. The 3s and the 4s were horrible. But the 1 and 2s from the Wade line from Converse were pretty dope. And then I honestly can't even think of another line. The Reebok line, the Reebok Iverson line was okay up until I think like the 3s. And then after that, or no, the 4s. After the 4s, I didn't like them. I didn't like the 5, 6, 7, 8, etc. So like the first half of the Reebok Iverson line was clean. But other than that, I can't like really think of anything. I know that like if I wasn't going to pick a Jordan, it would be a Nike line, like the Penny line or the Pippen line. Those are two of my favorites. But yeah, off brands though, it's hard to think about it because a lot of them, they just weren't like timeless, you know what I mean? So at least not to me. Like I know that certain of those Adidas Tracy McGrady's were really clean, but like some of them were way like bulky and stuff, and they just don't look good today. Same with like the Iversons and stuff like that. But yeah, the Adidas's Kobe line was okay. It's a hit or miss, but it was okay. And yeah, so I don't know what I would pick, but I'd probably just stick with the Jordan Nike camp for the time being. Alright guys, so that pretty much takes care of it. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for all your support. If you're interested in sending me a question for me to ask, or not ask, but answer, you can always do so at askNightwing@gmail.com. Going to be in the description box below. And again, reminder, future performance reviews scoring is going to be a little bit different from now on. And there's going to be a link in the description box below sending you to my site to let you know what that is and what it's going to be about. Thank you guys so much, and until next time guys, have a good one.